The Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama, a two-class challenge series for emerging talent and enthusiast racers. Platinum, the fastest class, with the newest Porsche 911 GT3 Cup race cars. Gold, for 911s between 2005 to 2009 model years. And within those two classes, a Masters Championship for drivers aged 45 and older. Tyres from Yokohama. Race cars from Porsche. Setup is critical, but talent and racecraft are how you win. Every second counts. No mistake goes unpunished. Drivers aren't pros, but this isn't amateur hour. It's the largest single-make series on the planet. This is the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge, presented by Yokohama. 2013 has been an historic year for the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. Let's remember, it's the 50th anniversary of the 911, surely one of the most enduring automotive images ever. Round 5 at Watkins Glen marked the 100th race for the series. Angel Benitez won in Platinum, Ashley P2, Madison P3 for the race.
I mean, Yokohama and in Watkins Glen was all perfect for me. That's the kind of race I like. Just push, don't stop. Push until the race ends.
While in round 6, Ashley got her first IMSA race win. That was the first female to win a Porsche GT3 Cup race in North America, and she extended her championship points lead over Madison Snow, while Angel dropped back after a second DNF for the year. In Masters, Craig Jerson and Casey Kuhlman were separated by 1 point after the weekend at the Glen. John Goetz won both races in the gold class, but Michael Levitas continues to lead in the class points. For rounds 7 and 8, the development series makes its way to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the venue that many of us remember as Mosport. For the last 50 years, it has been thrilling audiences here in Canada and around the world with its unique cocktail of fast sweeping bends and unforgiving runoff areas.
I mean, this is a very scary place to run. The 3 fastest corners on this track are off-camber, downhill, and blind. So your visual sight picture is not what you're used to when you're faced with such extremes.
The Watkins Glen was who was the quickest won the race. Here is actually mentally tired, it's really hot, so it's going to be more technical.
I had heard horror stories about the runoff, the grass, the big incidents, all that stuff, the high speed, and then I show up and find out that all the runoffs, well, most of the runoffs have been paved. They've got a really nice new scoring and timing building, the facility's nice. So I'm kind of like, you know, what are all these people complaining about? But yeah, I guess they did that pretty recently, so I guess I was fortunate to never see it the other way.
Now under new management, there's been a big financial investment, a sparkling new media and hospitality centre, and improvements to the track surfaces as well, with old pieces of concrete taken away and replaced by shiny new asphalt. In 2012, Angel Benitez Jr. memorably referred to this track as a monkey with a knife. His friend in the paddock, Michael Mills, made up some commemorative stickers just to remind everybody of what a great description that was.
It was a great comment from Angel because he's a really colorful personality, and it was just impromptu. It just came out. You could tell it was genuine. He was really relaying the drama that unfolds here, just like facing a monkey with a knife. You know, you don't know what's going to happen.
To be honest with you, I don't believe it. Like, yeah, it's the fact that everyone likes to actually refer to Mosport now with that phrase that it's a monkey with a knife, because everyone understood that yes, it's dangerous, so you have to be careful with that track.
So as we head towards the second half of the 2013 season, many of the championship contenders are already making themselves known. So summer heat, long hours away from the family raises the eternal question: why do these drivers race?
I wanted it, at the end of the day, at the end of my life, I want to have some sort of impact. I want to have my name somewhere saying, he did that.
Yeah, it defines the rest of my life, so it's the core of who I am.
The fact that you are driving something that got a lot of power and is dangerous when you actually push to the limit, it makes me feel better that I'm one of those few guys that actually can keep the control of something that could be out of control.
I just love it, and I strive to always be better, and it's just, I feel like being behind the wheel. Every time I get in the car, every session, I'm just constantly learning, and when I improve, I want more and I want more. And that's honestly, I think it's just passion that keeps me going.
You know, just a test of will and driver and car and having everything work together. It's very, very difficult. And for me, you can never be perfect. So you're always trying to get better and better every lap.
The consequences are so extreme on both ends. You know, the consequences of failure at the racetrack are very severe, both financially and from a health and well-being standpoint. And I think it's that big extreme negative that creates the gap to what makes the positive so amazing. When you win a race, you have a good race performance, it's just overwhelming because it's juxtaposed against what you know could have happened.
For some of the leading drivers in the IMSA GT3 Cup presented by Yokohama, the word development, as in development series, is very apposite this weekend. Although Madison Snow has been here before, he's never won here. His best result, a pair of second places. He's been taking some extra tuition and practice to get himself up to the absolute best he can be for this weekend. Ashley Freiberg, Miles Maroney have never been here before, so they are going to be extending their experience this weekend with the series. Here in Canada, qualifying didn't go exactly as we expected. There was rain around the circuit, but this is a development series and these drivers are going to have to learn to drive, to qualify and indeed to race in the best and the worst of conditions. While safety is always the top priority from race control, the reconnaissance laps seemed to be going well. There was no standing water on the track. But then Ashley Freiberg, series leader, went off the circuit and damaged her car. But still the conditions were deemed good enough to go out and qualify, until, with lightning in the air and the safety of the corner workers at stake, race control called a halt to proceedings. Race 1, and the decision was taken to form the grid from the best time posted in practice by each of the drivers. For series leader Ashley Freiberg, things have gone from bad to worse. The damage sustained on her car in qualifying cannot be repaired, and she'll miss not one but both of the races here this weekend. Her two major competitors, Angel Benitez Jr., 2 DNFs, and Madison Snow, 1 DNF, have the chance to make up some ground in the championship standings. So the lights are off on the Porsche Panamera that leads around the runners for round 7 of the IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. No Ashley Freiberg in the field, should have been lining up in 3rd position. The grid spots set by practice times after the official qualifying session was stopped because of lightning on the race circuit, and the safety of the corner workers all important in those positions. So the championship leader Ashley Freiberg is not on the grid. The front row, Madison Snow in the 62, Benitez in the 25, then Urian Sandberg behind them as we go. Green flag, and the 45 minutes is underway, and straight away down to the inside. Madison Snow protecting his position into turn number 1, uses a little bit of the rumble strip on the exit, but nice and clean through the first couple of corners.
Indeed, the 5th pole position of the season for Madison Snow, takes full advantage, leads into turn 1, over the hill also in turn 2, but right there on his heels there is the orange and black car, number 25 on Angel Benitez Jr., and he wants past. He's had a couple of non-finishes this season already, has Benitez. He's also had 3 wins and a 3rd place finish, so he needs to get himself back on track here and get a good points finish, and that is of course the same really for Madison Snow.
Well, it's a bit different, isn't it, for Madison Snow? As we came in here, he's leading he's 2nd in the championship, but he's got the better part of 20 points on Benitez, and we know that Ashley's not going to be scoring here, so he needs a solid run, but he doesn't necessarily need victories here. He doesn't have to put himself out too hard.
No, he doesn't. That's absolutely right, and I think Madison's struggled a little bit here in the past. He's raced here a couple of times, both in the Gold Cup and then in the Platinum Cars last year. Not been his favourite racetrack in the past, but certainly he's done a good job this weekend, and here he is out in front. You know, he's a youngster. I mean, you know, he's hungry. He wants to win every race he can. Incredibly, he's still only 17 years of age, is Madison Snow, which is quite remarkable considering he's been racing these cars now this is his 3rd year in Porsche.
He's a veteran.
Yeah, absolutely, but he's certainly driving like a veteran now.
And he needs to, because Benitez is sniffing around the gearbox of the lead Porsche at the moment as they dive down through turn number 2. Fantastic footage, and it looks brilliant in the sunshine here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for round 7 of the IMSA GT3 Cup challenge by Yokohama. And the 62 then of Madison Snow from the pole position, time set in the 2 practice sessions, the best lap taken to put that car on pole position, and Benitez just trying to close up under braking there through Moss corner, turn number 5. Just riding a little bit of the inside curb there, Benitez, and that may have upset the attitude of the Porsche. 3rd place is Slowderry in the 20, then Brett Sandberg in 4th position in the 46, Craig Durson in the 27. Right at the top of the Masters category for the most experienced drivers in terms of life experience, not necessarily of racing. He's doing a cracking job and has done all season. Quick glance there at the 46 of Brett Sandberg, that yellow and red machine, very, very distinctive colours as the leading cars string out just a little bit. Oh, almost the thought of a move there by the 41, and down the inside it is a pass by Michael Mills, and there's almost a touch there as they go into turn 1.
There was definitely a touch as they went down the front straightaway there, but Michael Mills squeezes his way past Craig Durson there in the inside line going into turn 1.
Now Craig, of course, is in the Masters category, Jeremy, but there's, you know, these guys are racing drivers once the visors go down, and it's all about ego and where you finish on the track. He doesn't really need to be fighting Michael Mills in that 41 car, but he doesn't want to give up any positions.
No, he doesn't, and he wants to. He's in the battle for the overall championship as well, not just the Masters category. Craig is fast. I mean, he's been around racing a long time. It's his rookie year in the Porsches, but he's been driving, particularly in the Skip Barber series, the school series primarily. But he's done a lot of racing over the years, so he's a veteran racer, if not in Porsches, and he knows how to win races. So yeah, he's in here to win it, and not just to be content with the Masters class. So he wants to finish as high up the order as he possibly can.
So there is Madison Snow soaking up this pressure so well. Is the young, I mean, it is just impressive. He was racing cars before he had his road car license, is that right?
That's exactly right, yeah. 15 years of age racing Porsche at the age of 15, incomprehensible for me. I think he made a bit of a mistake on the previous lap, and that allowed Angel Benitez to get right on his tail again, but he's put his head down as Madison Snow, and you can see he's eked out a little bit of an advantage again now going into lap 6.
Coming out of turn number 1, you can see that new asphalt 2, drivers left as they exit the corner. This is turn 2, and again, that all used to be on the right-hand side, that all used to be grass, as we're watching the battle for 11th, 12th and 13th. And there is, I was about to say a change of position, is it? Not quite. The 03 and the 15 right at the Casey Coolman, remember, is right at the top of the Masters category in the 15. And he's hit the curb on the inside as Coolman, and that has put the car up in the air, and that means the end of that little battle for the moment at least. And Anthony Mantella, also in the Masters category, just getting the better of that little exchange in the darker of those 2 cars. Really can't use that curb, any of the curbs on the inside of Moss. They are very, very tall indeed.
Yeah, good point. Anthony Mantella, he's a local driver from Toronto, Ontario, so he knows this track very, very well. He's raced here in the Canadian GT3 Cup series for the last couple of years, so he's got a lot of experience here. We were watching a few moments ago number 13 car, that's David Estella, who's a youngster who's also doing the Canadian Championship and getting more time, more seat time this weekend by doing the IMSA GT3 Cup challenge by Yokohama as well.
Looking at the 3rd place battle, the blue car is Sloan Urry in the Effort Racing car, and he's gradually just been reeled in, I think, by the 46 of Brett Sandberg. Brett has impressed me in that True Speed Motorsports car. He's lacked a tiny bit of consistency, but he has had some good results through the season. He's been there or thereabouts, and clearly when he puts his mind to it, he's a very quick driver indeed. It is a distinctive looking car, so you do tend to notice it even if it's in the back of our television pictures. And at the moment he's got his eye on the prize, and that prize is 3rd place on the podium at least. The leader's beginning to stretch away a little bit, have something in the region of 3 seconds on this battle, but for me, Sandberg's got the car under him at the minute. As I say that, I've cursed him. He just goes into turn number 4, tiny little bit too hot, and loses all that ground that he'd made up 2 corners before. But he's pressing on, and he's not quite target acquired at the moment, Jeremy. He's not in a position to make a challenge yet.
No, that's the True Speed Autosport entry, car number 46, and he's already had a couple of fourth place finishes this year, and looking for his first podium.
Meanwhile, further back down the field, a whole host of Porsches are battling in behind the number 14 of Colin Thompson, who is in 10th position. And Colin's got his hands full with what? 5 cars there. And in behind him is Anthony Mantella in that black machine. Now, Anthony was a little higher up earlier on, but managed to make a pass on Koolman behind him. And he's made that stick. And now Casey Koolman is right there as well, but they're all slightly bottled up behind Thompson there.
Yeah, and Colin Thompson, he's another youngster in this series. We've had a flock of youngsters coming in over the last few years, and he's certainly one of them. He's just 18 years old, is Colin Thompson, come over from the open wheel ranks, as have many of the others, including Ashley Freiberg, you talked about, who's missing these races, and that's crucial to her championship aspirations. A 21-year-old, she won the last time out from the pole at Watkins Glen. Fabulous result from her, for her. So what a massive disappointment not even be able to start this race.
Colin just beginning to drive as though he is looking more in his mirrors than he is down the track, and that's always a danger. It's something you can't help doing, to be honest. You're aware of people behind them, and you're trying to keep your position. Now let's head a little bit further up into the sharper end of the top 10. Estella and Jerson still battling for 6th position. And
Estella has made the pass there. Car number 13 coming up into Moss Corner now. Estella has got past Craig Jerson, so now he's looking to move forward again. The local driver is David Ostella, and he's trying to get himself now up among the top 5.
Points down to 10th position, of course, in this one. 5th position, 15th position, excuse me, in this one, and that with 20 points on offer for the leader. These 2 young drivers are pushing very hard indeed to try and get themselves to the top of the championship standings at the end of these 2 races. And really, this is the worst thing that Ashley Freiberg could possibly be seeing, because these 2 guys, the best thing for her would have been for these 2 to make contact at the first corner and fall out.
Hey, it is still a long way to go in this
time,
race,
says
John.
Jeremy Shaw. Oh, and he's about on the inside. Oh, that is a marvellous manoeuvre into turn number 4. I'm not sure that was really on at any stage there, but you can't fault Angel Benitez Jr. or indeed Madison Snow. Came down through the bottom of turn 2 and 3. And into it's hardly a braking area at all, because it's uphill and it's a very, very fast entry to that. But Benitez Jr. taking his opportunity, clean as a whistle. I have to say, Jeremy, I'm not sure that once Madison realised that Benitez was coming up the inside, I think Madison made the decision there that he wasn't going to try and close the door. And again, that is the real maturity that Madison Snow has got. And there's Koolman hitting the inside curb at Moss Corner. Exactly what we saw him doing, a couple of 3 laps ago, that cost him some time, and this time it's cost him positions as well.
We've seen a lot of cars spinning there today. The American Le Mans Series cars practicing a little while ago this morning. A lot of spins during that session. I think, with there's more runoff area there now. And you can be a little bit more greedy, you think, and get away with it. But certainly, again, no damage to Casey Koolman, able to continue, but that's not what he needs in his quest for the Masters Class Championship.
So looking at the 0-3, that is Anthony Mantella again, and still with the train of cars behind him, but now it's Colin Thompson. So Colin has been passed there, so that is a change of position. Mantella has got through into 10th position. Maybe in that kerfuffle that was going on with Koolman, and the opportunity has been taken. Remember, Colin had a whole handful of cars behind him, 5 or 6. And now Colin in that orange car, the Thompson Racing machine. doing a great job to be around the top 10 in a car that effectively he runs through his own team.
That's exactly right, yeah. Small family-run team there. His dad, John, he's been a long-time Atlantic racer over the years, and young Colin, he's come up through the ranks of basically mainly Formula Fords, some F2000, US F2000 last year, but now he sees his opportunities here in GT racing or sports car racing in general, so he's made the switch across to the GT3 Cup this season. And like it is a small team, but they've got Chris Hall there, who's a veteran racer himself, to help out on the sort of driver coaching and even some driver development. And Chris Hall took the car out here on Thursday for the first practice session just to try and get a good baseline here. They're running a different shock package on the car this weekend, so they're getting a little bit of extra feedback there from Chris Hall to try and help the development.
The IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama, supported by Hertz, as you can see on the shade bands. Although I can't promise that you'd be able to hire something quite like this at your local airport. I did notice when we flew in, there was a selection of very nice Porsches that were well out of my price bracket. Good to see Hertz backing the championship. Now back up to third position, Jeremy, and again, status quo at the moment. Sloan Urry, one of the effort racing entrants.
Yeah, and Sloan Urry, he drove for True Speed last year actually. He switched across to effort racing this year. Now he's got a True Speed car right there looming in his mirrors, so he doesn't want to let it pass. A little bit of an added incentive, I believe, for Sloan Urry in third place.
Ben Keating in 12th position. For a moment looked like he might be challenging, but he drops a wheel off, and behind him John Bennett has a look down the inside. That's not an overtaking spot there, as he's just having a little look on the car ahead of him, which I think was Amadeo Queiroz. Yes, it is.
Costa Rican. Been around the series for a number of years now, Amadeo, and super enthusiast. There's a great following of motorsports down in Central America, and certainly in the Costa Rica area. There's 4 or 5 of them that come up here periodically to the States and race, and Amadeo's certainly been one of those guys for quite a while now. Super enthusiast, great fun.
The bottom end of the top 10, and just outside it as the group of cars goes through with the 28 at the back of that. That's the Costa Rican driver Amadeo Queiroz at the back of that little 4-car train. In front of him, John Bennett of Core Autosport in the 54. In front of John Bennett is Colin Thompson, and Ben Keating's just stretched away a tiny bit, maybe a 2 or 3 cars lengths from this battle. He hasn't been able to check out since he got past Colin in that bright orange car, the second of the Porsches coming over the skyline right now. And John Bennett felt the need to go a little bit defensive there at the entry to turn number 2. That's going to send him wide, and he's had to lift off the throttle, and here's an opportunity for Queiroz, and he knows it, and Bennett goes in early again just to defend that inside line. And Queiroz sniffs a little blood, I think, here. They'll go over the top of the skyline, and again Bennett just moving out to protect his position through the left-hander. Down through the dip before you go quite steeply uphill into Moss Corner, turn 5. Let the hill slow you down before you bang down through the gearbox and jump on the brakes. Now, who has got the best exit and onto the back straight? Queiroz didn't quite get out of Moss Corner the way he would have liked to there, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. There's this super battle going on here, and you can see just ahead of those two is Colin Thompson, and looking to the inside of Colin Thompson now, though, is John Bennett, and he makes that pass. Thompson's clearly been struggling. He'd lost a position to Ben Keating. I have to say he's doing a fine job. A late entry into this race, driving for TPC Racing. I'm pretty sure it's his first start in the GT3 Cup Series for Ben Keating, and now up into 11th place, but there you can see into 12th now goes John Bennett.
That was interesting because I thought Bennett was the vulnerable one there, and he got his head down, maybe concentrating on getting a good exit out of 5. He actually dragged up and passed Thompson as they went through to the end of the right-hander at the end of the back straight, and that was a really clean move by John Bennett. Now, can he do anything about Keating ahead of him? And has Colin Thompson maybe just worked his car and his tyres a little bit hard in the early half of this race? And does that mean he's going to be on damage limitation as Quiros begins to look a little bit racy behind him? At the head of the field, Angel Benitez Jr. looks absolutely untroubled there. He's got just the kind of gap that you like to see. He's not driving away, but that's not an issue at the moment, Jeremy. What he's got is, you know, if he drops a wheel off or he misses a shift or he just misses a turn in, he knows that he's just far enough ahead from Madison Snow that he's not going to be all over him in a flash, is he?
No, that's absolutely true. These two have they're turning the fastest laps of the race thus far. Benitez went quicker last time around at 22.4. He did it 2 laps ago. Last lap around was a 1 minute 22.9. Madison Snow there, he's chipping away again, super consistent. A whole string of laps around about 122.7, between 122.7 and 123 flat. So he's doing a nice job with Snow. And again, he's closed in just a little bit in that battle for the lead. And the battle for third isn't over either, is it?
Oh, Sandberg all of a sudden's found a second or maybe even a third wind. Was that a little mistake going down through the dip before the Moss complex by Sloan Hurry? And now he's going to have to do some defending because his car's making the hole in the air that Brett is sitting in quite nicely, and he'll drag up a little bit closer here. He might not be quite close enough.
Might not be this time around, but last time it was his best lap of the race, a 122.8, so pretty much the same pace that has been run by our 2 race leaders. And Brett Sandberg in 4th place in that car number 46, trying to close the gap on the number 20 car of Sloan Hurry.
More side-by-side action. This is further down the field. This is 7th and 8th position, I think. That's Craig Jerson in the 27, going and having a bit of a battle. He's been battling with Miles Moroney for most of the race, it would seem. These two have had a cracking scrap. Because what we don't know, Jeremy, and we don't know this about the 2 leaders, and we certainly don't know it about Hurry and Sandberg, is how the teams have set up the car. Because there is an opportunity here to say, right, we'll set up the car to come on the strongest as the tyres are getting a little bit older, as the weight comes out of the car as you burn the fuel, and give you the last 10 or 15 minutes. The car is going to feel a lot better than it does maybe in the first 10 or 15 minutes.
That's absolutely right, and that, you know, that's one of the advantages the multi-car teams have, such as MGT Motorsport that Craig Jerson driving for, and young Miles Moroney too for the True Speed organisation. They're running 3 cars this weekend. NGT's running half a dozen. So yeah, the more information they have, the easier it is to get a setup to last the entire race distance.
Jerson leading the Masters category for over 45-year-old drivers. Miles Moroney at the other end of the life scale. And he's right in the draft now, and this is advantage. The younger man behind as the red, white and black machine will pull out, but see, Jerson's making it difficult. Made him try and go around the long way around. He'll stay to the left-hand side as he comes into this right-hander to just defend the inside line. That's perfectly clean. I have no issues with that whatsoever. Good, clean driving. He picked his line, he stuck to it, and Moroney, I think, pretty much knew that he wasn't going to be able to drive around the outside there.
No, that's right. Some of the classes here, you can maybe risk an outside line pass. With the Pro Mazda guys right a little while ago, we saw various people trying to run at the outside there. Some good side-by-side racing. In these bigger, heavier cars, though, it's a bit more of a challenge to make a pass around the outside line.
Just in the background there, the 44, Phil Falk Jr. is just making a little bit of inroads on these two as they're beginning to battle for that 7th position, and it may not be too long before there. Just saw a quick flash of white in the background there, as again Sandberg is right up with Hurry.
Yeah, this is a great battle going on here for 2nd and 3rd. It's Effort Racing, the blue car number 20 for Sloan Hurry, and the True Speed Autosport entry of Brett Sandberg right behind him.
Just seems as though Sandberg doesn't get out of this part of the track as quickly as he really needs to, as Craig Jerson now has a real issue, because Miles Moroney could not have been any closer there without sitting in the car with him. And there is Fogg, and we said watch him, and he's looking at this going, go on guys, keep fighting. I do not want, he doesn't want Moroney to get past here.
No, well, and Moroney's his teammate, because Phil Fogg Jr. is driving the 3rd of the True Speed Autosport cars, and he's closing in here. He's running 2nd in the Masters category, is Phil Fogg Jr., doing a fine job this weekend and trying to get close close to these two, and with Jursen being a little bit defensive here, that has given Phil Fogg Jr. the opportunity, driving that car number 44, to close in on this battle that is for 8th and 9th place, 7th and 8th places.
He's probably taken 3 seconds out of them in the last couple of 3 laps. Now this is third again. The blue car is Sloan Uri in the Effort Motorsports car, and this is the early part of the circuit is where Sandberg is very, very strong, but he seems not to get out of Moss Corner all that well. So he needs to be a little bit closer here. Oh, and there is the Jursen pass happening. The 45 goes through. Maroney finally makes it stick, and Craig Jursen cannot defend at all. But look at that. Here comes Fogg in the maroon bonneted car, and he has made that up, and that is a Masters class battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Craig Jursen's struggling to get the car, a little bit of understeer on the entry of the corner. He can't get the car turned into the corner, and Miles Maroney just stuck it down the inside going up the hill into turn 3. Great pass by young Miles Maroney, but as you say, now the battle is on for Masters honours, because Craig Jursen has his mirrors full of Phil Fogg Jr.
And Phil Fogg looks really fired up. He's cottoned onto the back and latched onto the back of that 27 car, and immediately looks down to the inside. He was coming from a long way back there, and he wasn't going to make that one stick, but what he's doing, he's getting inside the head of Craig Jursen. Now it's a very experienced competitor ahead of him, but as soon as you see somebody doing that, it does affect the way you drive, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And already he's had to be defensive. He's been battling hard, maybe just a slight loss of concentration, and the 44's going through.
No question about it, because Fogg has closed in about a second a lap, as you were saying, over the last 3 laps. He's turned 3 of his fastest laps of the race so far, has Phil Fogg Jr., and he's got himself onto the tail now of Jursen. Both of these two guys, almost all of their racing, both of them done a lot of racing over the years, mainly in the open wheel ranks, but they're taking to these Porsches really nicely.
Now here is that battle for third again. Sloan Uri with Brett Sandberg behind him, and again, Sandberg must be cursing his luck. He just can't seem to get out of Moss Corner, the corner that leads onto this long back straight. Third, as we've got the 44 turnaround. Oh, that's a nightmare. Phil Fogg had done all that hard work to get pulled up to the back of the queue ahead of him, and he was challenging Craig Jursen, and he's overcooked it. Now, can he get it going? And there's another car off. So once again, people pushing very hard in the final stages of this race.
I think that was Danny Gianfrancesco, who's running second place in the gold class as well.
So the heat and the very physical nature of the Mosport circuit is really taking its toll, and you saw there the leader Angel Benitez Jr. with an armful of opposite lock on. He didn't get out of the corner very well indeed, because he was spinning up the back Yokohamas, and now Madison Snow will have seen that. He wants to try and take advantage. He's right under the rear aerofoil as they come up for the braking for this very, very fast turn 8 and 9 complex. The leader goes in deep, and he's gone in too deep, and he's having to correct the middle of the corner. Masterful piece of driving by the leader there.
Great stuff. This is a fabulous motor race between Benitez and Snow here at the front of the field. It's Benitez's lead, but not by very much. There's maybe a foot or so between those two as they come off turn 10 to complete lap 27.
Still 7.5 minutes of excitement here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park near Bowmanville in Canada, one of the real character circuits that are visited by the IMSA GT3 Cup, challenged by Yokohama, and goodness me, they go to some historic pieces of racetrack, and this is certainly one of them. Over 50 years of history behind this circuit, and in front of the American Le Mans Series crowd, this IMSA Ladder Series, these two guys surely have got to be being marked out by various GT and possibly even prototype teams as some talent to watch for the future. Much better exit from the Moss complex this time by the leader, but Madison Snow still gets a better one and will still put some pressure on. You can barely see there's 2 cars there as they head up. It's climbing uphill, then it flattens out, then it's uphill again towards that Canadian Tire crossover bridge. And Benitez Jr. in the middle of the road. He doesn't make the same mistake this time. He trail braked into the corner there very nicely, just feathering the brake as he got to the apex, the centre of the corner. But he knows he's in a battle now, Jeremy. He's taking a very defensive line into the final corner. That's going to compromise his exit. Can Madison Snow have a little nibble down the inside? He thinks about it, but thinks better of it. How hard is Snow going to be pushing here? Because if he stays in second, he leads the championship. Oh, he has a big moment there as he goes over the bump at the exit of 1.
I answered that question earlier on. He's 17 years old. He wants to win the motor race. He's never won here at Mosport either. Benitez, he won the gold class here last year on his way to dominating the championship in the gold class. But this year, he wants to get a platinum win as well. Madison Snow, he finished only second here in the 2 races he did in the Gold Club 2 years ago when he won that championship. Last year, he slept up into the platinum class and had only a pair of 6th place finishes. That was disappointing for him. He wants a win here, does Madison Snow.
He's got a super line coming through that right-hander in the middle of the Moss complex at the far end of the circuit from where we're watching now. And we've got traffic here as well. And with over 5 minutes still remaining, this is far from over. The lead between the first 2 and the rest of the field, headed by Sloaneri, is something approaching 11 seconds now. Brett Sandberg is still in 4th position, but he's dropped about 8/10 of a second in that battle for 3rd place.
But there's some lap traffic ahead of me. I think it's the Gold Club leader.
Yes, Michael Levitas, yeah.
Michael Levitas, who's running 19th place overall. He's going to be the next car that's going to go 1 lap down to these battling leaders. And Benitez, he wants to get a little bit of a gap here ahead of Snow so he can get past Mike Levitas and not lose any ground, not lose any momentum.
Danger time then for the leader, Angel Benitez Jr. Needs to go to the right here, does he? Oh, yes, good stuff, and brilliant heads-up driving by Levitas. Saw him coming, stayed in the middle of the road, made it obvious what he was going to do, and both of the leaders go through. Neither of them get an advantage, neither of them get a disadvantage. That's heads-up driving by Mike Levitas.
It certainly is. There's a lock-up there for Sloaneri in 3rd place, still under intense pressure from Brett Sandberg. So we've got this great battle for the lead. We've got a great battle for 3rd place as well.
Sandberg just keeps coming. You can't knock him back, can you? He's so quick in the early part of the lap, and he's super late on the brakes here as he goes uphill, and he's almost on the rear bumper again of 3rd place Sloaneri, but he can't get close enough now. Will the traffic play a part here? He's just not punching out that car. This is as close as we've seen him though, Jeremy, for the last 3 or 4 laps, and just a little fumble here by Uri in the Effort Racing Porsche in 3rd place. Might just give an opportunity to Sandberg in 4th.
Again, some lap traffic ahead of them. They're coming up to the turn 8, 9 and 10 complex, and the back marker there sticks to the racing line around turn 8, down to the dive into the inside in turn 9 goes Uri, and whoa, Sandberg following him through. Superb opportunity driving.
Brilliant stuff by Sandberg, and it's side by side. This is not done yet, because despite the fact that that brightly coloured car got its nose in ahead for a moment, there was a bit more momentum with the Effort Racing blue car of Sandberg, and he's got it back again, of Uri rather, and he's got it back again. That is fantastic stuff. I'm not sure that the 06, that's Danny Gianfranchi, isn't it, who's in that car. I'm not sure he's going to be on there. Certainly not on Sandberg's Christmas card list, because he didn't help him at all there, and he's still sniffing around the back.
Yeah, he is. He's hanging on. He's still running second in the gold class, is Gianfrancesco, but he did lose quite a lot of ground with that spin earlier on, and it's kind of thankful he didn't spin there with these two battling for 3rd place all around him.
See, now that is much more. Well, that might be a tie. Oh, touch! I was just about to say.
Sandberg threw it to the inside there, the second part of the Moss complex, and dived to the inside, and then I think he kind of realised he got into it too deep and backed out of it, and that has enabled Sloaneri to pull away. But a big moment there down at Moss Corner, John.
Now, is there any damage? That's what you've got to worry about. This is a very, very fast racing circuit indeed. Sandberg, I don't think he'll be overly happy about that. This is the battle for the lead, with probably one more lap at the end of this, maybe not. Time is beginning to run out for Madison Snow to get a maiden victory here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 2 seconds and a couple of 6th in these last 4 outings here. And now Angel Benitez Jr. defending for all he's worth. I think he's running out of tyres, if I'm honest. He paced himself beautifully in the early part of the race, did Benitez Jr. Took the lead with a very much an opportunist manoeuvre, but it may be he's had to work just a tad too hard in that MOMO sponsored machine for NGT Motorsports. ahead of Madison Snow. Not sure about this though. You're not going to put. There's not a chance that either of our better halves would let us put the house on the victory of this one for either of these guys, because it could literally go either way. Ashley Freiberg, this is her worst nightmare. She's watching these pictures. She's not in this race after a qualifying incident put her car beyond repair for this race weekend. And how close do you like that? That's as close as it gets, coming through one of the fastest corners in motor racing.
Yeah, I think Madison Snow there sort of fainted to the left as if he was going to try an outside line pass there. Perhaps he was hoping that Benitez were going to kind of cover the line so he could dive to the inside himself. There is the white flag. 1 lap to go.
2.5 miles rather to decide the 20 points. Will it be Benitez Jr.? Will it be Madison Snow? Whatever happens, even if it finishes like this, Madison Snow will lead the championship at the end of this 7th round of the IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. And Sandberg has dragged his way back after that little incident. He's not really close enough at the moment, but he's so quick through 2, 3, 4 and 5 that he might be somewhere near by the next time we see them on the back straight. Now the leaders now are coming to that uphill braking area at Moss Corner, and Benitez knows he's got probably just about 1.5 miles at the moment to hold this off and take another victory in this year's championship, and this will be really important. It will vault him over the unfortunate Ashley Freiberg, and it will take some points away from what will be the new championship leader, even if it stays like this.
We've got eight-wheel Porsche coming up the hill. It's at turn 8, John.
Oh, it certainly was. They looked like, I thought there was a tow bar on Benitez's car there for a moment, and he was just dragging him through. Down to the last corner for the last time. It's round 7. It all comes down to this. Benitez Jr. goes in deep. He's gone wide. He spins up the back end of the Yokohama shot machine, and they go across the line absolutely together. I think that's Snow.
Yes.
I think it's Snow. Got it by just about the width of a number plate. Here's the battle for third, and here's the same manoeuvre down the inside. Does Sloan Harry make the same mistake? No, he does not. He holds his line. That's smooth driving, and he'll hold on to third place. And it was that much. You saw from the official. I'm not even sure it was that much. I think it was about half an inch. The timing's come through now, and Madison Snow has taken the victory by eye. I knew it was close, but 0.011 of a second. And that is a veteran move by one of the youngest Porsche drivers around, and Madison Snow gets the elusive victory, his 5th visit north of the border in Porsches, his first time on the top step of the podium. So confirming the results of round 7 of the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup by Yokohama at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. At the head of the field and in the Platinum class, Madison Snow by the smallest of margins over Angel Benitez Jr., who I think may just be kicking himself for that last corner slight indiscretion. In third position, Sloan Harry, just about holding off Brett Sandberg, who really wanted that final spot on the podium for true speed. Craig Jewison has extended his lead over Casey Kuhlman in the Masters class. In the gold category, another great win for Michael Levitas. Now, if anyone had anything left in the fast locker, now was the time to bring it out. So time to settle back into our seats after we're pretty much on the edge of them for all of round number 7 as we look forward to round number 8. So as the green flag flew, a fantastic start from Madison Snow off the pole to keep Angel Benitez Jr. in second. Michael Mills trying out the new paved area on the outside of turn number 1, and a slight change from the previous race as Brett Sandberg finally manages to get past Sloan Harry and claim third place. While the leaders were able to get away, the ever-close racing and the midfield caused casualties at Moss Corner, the hairpin halfway around the famous Mosport track. Danny Gianfrancesco, Patrick Otto Madsen, Michael Levitas and Mark Larno all involved. Mark Larno going sideways and the other 3 drivers getting stuck in behind him. Full course caution, bunching the field right back up behind the Porsche Panamera safety car. So with the lights out on the safety car, that means we're going back to green flag racing. Always a dangerous time for the man at the head of the field, who has to control the pace of the rest of the competitors, but also make sure that he gets a decent start. All was not well for the youngster's car, a left rear puncture. He had to tour all the way around a full lap into the pit lane, and that would put him well down the field. It's a disaster for the championship leader, dropping all the way back to 18th. But a fine fighting drive and some very decisive overtaking manoeuvres saw Madison Snow get back to 14th in class and claim 2 vital points for his championship challenge. With Angel Benitez Jr. consolidating his lead, the battle was joined once again for second position. Brett Sandberg holding off Sloan Urry down the ultra-quick back straight into turn number 8, side-by-side action. All the way through this very tricky sequence of corners, the car's on the absolute ragged edge of adhesion. It was not until down towards the intimidating turn 1 that Sloan Urry made the pass stick and claimed that second position. Positions 5 to 8 were being keenly contested as well, with Maroney for 2-speed, Durson for NGT Motorsport and the family-run Thompson Racing Team for Colin Thompson, as well as Casey Kuhlman, all in the thick of the action. It was Young Gun versus Master, Young Gun versus Master, all trying to improve their positions. It was a perfectly paced race by Angel Benitez Jr. and he won it ahead of Sloan Urry in second, and Brett Sandberg with another consistent run gets on the podium this time. In the Masters category, Craig Durson notches up another win ahead of Casey Kuhlman and Phil Fogg Jr. In the Gold category, winning a battle of attrition, Frank Seiler. So here are the results from the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup by Yokohama for rounds 7 and 8 at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. In the championship standings in the Masters category, Craig Durson just stretching away from Casey Kuhlman. In gold, and despite his problems this weekend, Michael Levitas hangs on to the lead. But it's the Platinum class and the head of the championship that has everyone's attention. At the end of the 2 Canadian races, Madison Snow and Angel Benitez Jr. are tied on points, with Benitez ahead on races 1. And what of Ashley Freiberg, who came into this weekend leading the championship, but with 2 DNFs she's dropped down to 4th.